What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex podcast from the Action Network and Fantasy Labs. I'm your host, Chris Raybon. It's NFL Week 16. We got our player projections episode. We're going to go through guys we're high and low on, our top five, and of course, give out some props for each skill position. In a moment, I'll be joined by one of the most accurate fantasy rankers in the game, Sean Koerner. But quick reminder, all of our fantasy football content is available right now over on fantasylabs.com. Fantasy Labs NFL includes in-season rankings, waiver wire and DFS tips, and more. Be sure to use code FLEX20, that's FLEX20 for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. All right, Koerner, what's going on? Before we get into our positions, we got to give out the Cardio King Awards, which go to the players that ran the most routes without a target at wide receiver and tight end. Who we got this week?
Yeah, so it was actually a tie between the top tight end and top wide receivers. So they're Cardio Kings, and the tight end was Adam Troutman, 19 routes, 0 targets. About the same routes as Evan Ingram this week. So congrats on anybody that took him.
Evan
tight
do
end?
Nothing in Ingram, yeah.
Yeah. And the wide receiver was Keon Coleman, who had 19 routes, no targets. I guess he got a bit of a boost with them making Gabe Davis inactive, and then
Gabe Davis had to die for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. And Brandon Cooks, I think he got hurt in game, so let Coleman run a few more routes and not draw a target, of course.
Yeah, I don't get the Bills. It seemed like they found the plot a little. Like, all right, let's just go back to Gabe Davis and figure it out. And it's like, no, we're just gonna get Coleman out there again doing absolutely nothing. And like Shakir's routes go, he doesn't even run like as many routes as he should sometimes. It's weird. All right, quarterback, top 5. Who we got? Week 16.
Ooh, let me see. I got Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Drake May, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert.
Ooh, Herbert back, huh?
Yep.
You're over the hand injury with him.
Yeah.
I got Allen, May, Jackson, Hurts, Joe Burrow. Fingers crossed with Joe Burrow after that performance. But it's the Dolphins. Who we high on?
I'm high on Tyler Shuck against the Giants, and he impressed me early on. As a passer and more like real life value versus fantasy. I mean, he is a 26-year-old rookie, so you'd hope he'd be pretty polished out of the gates. He's older than Trevor Lawrence, and he's probably the same age as Juju Smith-Schuster at this point. I'm always fascinated about how young Juju actually is.
Juju's like 50 in NFL years, though.
Yeah. I remember talking about him with you and Friedman early on. So I'm always amazed how young he actually is. But Shuck, it wasn't a guy that I thought would have much rushing upside, but I have been proven wrong. And they've kind of given him. And, that's why I kind of thought his upside was capped because, they bring in Taysom Hill and the goal line packages and basically, limit his upside. But he's impressed me as a runner, and they've been kind of using him in design runs similar to Taysom Hill and at his expense lately. So I think Shuck, has enough upside this week against the Jets, who just allowed, a historic game to Trevor Lawrence last week. This is just a great spot for him. You mentioned him on the waiver pod, and I agree. I think he's pushing, wider quarterback one upside this week. So I think if you're in a pinch, he's a decent streaming option with this newfound kind of rushing upside, along with solid pocket presence. He has Chris Olave at his disposal. Hopefully, Devon Vele is able to play this week, but I'm a lot higher on Shuck than I was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he's the rushing upside is really doing it. Taysom Hill's not really been much of a factor because he hasn't been good. I'm high on Jackson Dart again. Like every week, it's Jackson Dart. He's ECR QB 15. I mean, I don't get it. All he does is put up top 10 performances. He finished as the QB 9 last week and has a matchup against the Vikings, who are middle of the pack. I mean, they've been good on defense lately, but I think that could just result in more scrambling opportunities. They're going to send a bunch of blitzes and things like that. So I still want Dart here as a top 12 option. And then the guy you mentioned, Justin Herbert, he's quarterback 14 in ECRs. I know he's going through the injuries, the hand injury, but it's been a couple weeks now. And he's going against Dallas, who just gave up 34 points. to Mike McCarthy, JJ McCarthy led Vikings offense. So yeah, both of those guys kind of stick out as guys that should be in the QB1 ranks that are, consensus still has outside this week. Who are you low on at quarterback week 16?
I'm low on Caleb Williams against the Packers. I still have him in a couple leagues, but I was able to pivot to Jackson Dart in some leagues a while ago, who, like you said, is a much better option this week. I was always kind of worried about Caleb's fantasy playoff schedule. He had the tough matchup against the Browns last week, tough matchup against the Packers this week, but it is a tad easier now that Parsons is out. But I mean, if Parsons was there, that could have forced Caleb out of the pocket a little bit more. And that's kind of his upside is, Caleb's scrambling ability. We just haven't seen that of late. And the Bears have been, very run heavy. And, Caleb, he kind of like tweaked his ankle before halftime last week. So, I don't know if that's going to linger this week, but just doesn't have the rushing upside to really put him in my top 12 this week against the Packers. So, I have him as my QB 20 to open the week. I think, there's plenty of good options out there like CJ Stroud, Tyler Shuck, and maybe even like Jacoby Brissett if he's out there, that I'd probably have a higher floor than Caleb this week. And, he's the kind of guy that he could still put up top 10 numbers this week, but much, much lower to open the week with him as my QB 20.
Yeah, they still want to run the ball, like first and foremost, I think, in Chicago. I'm actually low on the guy on the other side of that matchup, Jordan Love. Quarterback 11 in ECR, that's still a bit rich. I know he could end up throwing the ball a little more, could have to throw the ball a little bit more, but you got Watson banged up, and what they do late in the year when all guys are banged up and they're going against a weak run defense, especially, they try to run the ball. So I still think you can see a run heavy performance from Green Bay, especially coming off a loss here. This game is very important, divisional matchup here. So Jordan Love, he had a nice little run there when guys are getting healthier in that top 12, but I think he's more of a quarterback too for me the rest of the way. So low on Love this week. What are we doing for the prop?
This is a fun one. So we're gonna do Phillip Rivers passing yards. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna put it up against a completely different position, running back. So the most rushing yards by any running back this week versus Phillip Rivers passing yards.
Oh. Ooh.
You got me?
Yeah. What was the yard per attempt last week? 4.5, 4.4. Oh my God. The Niners kind of suck. So I'm gonna go with Rivers. I'm gonna go with Rivers here. I can see them like the fact that they're even starting him is like ridiculous. So it's like I could see them saying, "Oh, hey, we gotta get him ready in case we make the playoffs." So let's have him drop back like 40 times this week or something ridiculous. So yeah. I don't know if he could make it through the game doing that, but I'll go Rivers here. I'll go Rivers.
Yeah. I mean, so his initial prop at most books right now is right around 150. Which I think, is probably kind of low, kind of what you're hinting at. But I ran my weekly sim and like at running back, I have the most rushing yards by, any running back right around 150. And last week, the leader was Travion Henderson with 148. So again, like right around that range, but you could have somebody like, Jahmyr Gibbs go off for 215 yards and you might be screwed. But yeah, I thought that'd be a fun one. I do agree with you. I have Rivers closer to like 160, 165. Is that kind of where you have him?
Yeah. Like, like if they're starting him, I mean, any quarterback that starts, it's hard to have him lower than that, right? Especially if he's not scrambling, right? So yeah, true. It's not like the receivers are terrible either, and the defense isn't great that they're facing. So yeah, I think. I mean, you're essentially saying his median is the same as like what we expect the highest running back to be. So yeah, I got to go with Rivers all day.
I think the Niners do have film on him from last week, and they can probably see, where his weaknesses are, and he's not pushing the ball down the field. Again, he's not going to scramble, so maybe they're better equipped to really take advantage of that. But again, it's a wide range of outcomes. But I think this one should be a fun one. I think it's gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, all he needs is like one Alec Pierce, bomb or something like Teo to take a screen, or something like that. Like there's too many ways. I think too many outs. I think that way. But I thought you were going to go Rivers against Taylor himself. That would have been interesting too.
Ooh.
Like just yardage.
Oh, well, like total yard. Yeah. Well, that's kind of correlated.
Scrimmage yards. Yeah.
I think this will be fun. Like, Bijan just going nuts or something like that. Or James Cook against the Browns. But I think there's going to be a running back that just goes off where it's like, oh, great. We need Rivers to get, 165 yards an hour or something like that.
Jahar Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. If Woody and Chubb are out, Jordan might be the trendsetter on this one.
All right. Running back top 5. Who we got?
So I have Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, CMC, and Devon Achane.
Wait, so you got Gibbs number 1?
Yeah, I have Gibbs number 1.
Ooh, interesting. He actually didn't make my top 5 this week. I had Achane, Bijan, CMC, Cook, and Taylor. Gibbs is 6, but always gotta kind of watch him. He has these weird games in between his 3 touchdown outbursts that always kind of pull him back to the pack a little bit for me. So I gotta see where I want to end up with him. But yeah, he's a little tougher this week. But who are you high on?
Yeah, so this week I'm high on Tyrone Tracy, who's just had kind of like a roller coaster season. Heading into week 1, we were both high on him, at least initially. And then he missed a couple of games, and then, Cam Scatterboot overtook him, was going to just be the lead back the rest of the way, and then had his season-long injury. And then ever since then, Tracy's been in sort of kind of an annoying, really a 50-50 committee with Devin Singletary. But last week, we did see Tracy have more of a workhorse role. Scored both a rushing and receiving touchdown. So assuming,
did you see that one? Did you see that the rushing one? It was he put somebody on skates at the 1-inch line, and he was supposed to go down and just and then some Washington defender. I was like, oh fuck! I had the it's still cash, but I had the Commanders as the dog in that game, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm it was conflicted, but I was why did you have to just skate just keep it? Somebody's gonna get their ass chewed out and filmed today for the Commanders. That was one of the better plays. I don't remember the defender. I have to look it up, but I just remember it was a third and long, if I'm not mistaken. And he just took the handoff, and he should have been down at the 2 or the 3. Broke one tackle off his back and just juked the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, I think it was Will Harris, the safety, and then Frankie Louvu.
He's good too. Yeah.
I usually fade him in the tackle market because he's usually just rushing the passer for linebacker. But he drew both guys. Yeah. So again, it's one of those things where just the eyeball test matches it. So I think he's going to continue to see workhorse role this week. And the Vikings aren't some cupcake matchup, obviously, but they're also not a must avoid matchup. More middle of the pack. And this is a game, it could be a closer game. They're at home. It's, what the Vikings are only, 2-point favorites. So I consider Tracy game script proof really in this role. So I have him as my RB24 to open the week. So again, just a few weeks ago, I don't think people thought, Tracy would be a low end RB2 heading into the fantasy playoffs, but I think he is. So he's a guy that I'm much, much higher on him this week than I have in the weeks past.
Yeah, we always talk about this time of year, guys who pass the eye test, I think, are pretty valuable because everyone's banged up. Players will tell you that. The Giants had the late bye, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tracy missed a little bit of time middle of the year, right? Yeah, like you just said. So he's probably fresher than most, and he licked it against Washington. I'm going to go with the guy on the other side of this matchup. I believe we were high on him last week, but I still think we should be high on him. Jordan Mason. Didn't come through as much last week, but another matchup against a bad run defense in the Giants, and Aaron Jones only outsnapped him 32-20. They only had 55 snaps, which is low for a team that scores 34 points. So, with the way Bill kind of went off against the Giants, I think Mason being that power back, being that guy that could still see goal line work, even with Aaron Jones there as the lead back. Aaron Jones I still think he's going to see more of the work in the passing downs. He had 17 routes, 2 pass block snaps. Mason only had 4 routes and 3 pass block snaps. So it's more of a half PPR type of thing with Mason, but I do think at ECR running back 43.5 PPR. That's too low for him because this Giant run defense is not good at all. It's one of the worst in the league every single week. So like Mason this week.
Yeah, I wasn't high. I didn't mention him on this pod, but I did have him on like both touchdown shows. So I had him plus 210, and then the first goal line play, I was like, they're gonna give this ball to CJ Ham. I know it. And then did the fake handoff. JJ McCarthy rolled out, did the gritty, wide open. And then the next one, I'm like, okay, now they're going to give it to CJ Ham. It did. I was like, I should have bet CJ Ham in hindsight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he was out there. You know, he had plenty of chances around the goal line. That's kind of his role. So yeah, against the Giants, I definitely think he's kind of in that, you know, RB3 flex mix this week.
Who are you low on at running back?
So I'm low on Kyren Williams against the Seahawks. Just, you know, based on what I said about Blake Corum on the waiver pod, you know, we saw this backfield turn into more of a 50-50 split last week. The coaching staff has mentioned they wanted to get, you know, Corum more work to keep Kyren fresh for the playoffs. But, I mean, they have one of the best backfield duos in the league, in my opinion. So it's pretty easy to just give Corum more work. So I think it's tough to trust Corum, you know, like as an RB3 flex this week against the Seahawks. This is a brutal matchup. But on the flip side, that also makes it tougher to trust Kyren as well. So he's, you know, opening up as RB22 for me this week. And it's a real tricky projection because, you know, they probably won't have Devontae Adams, which probably does help Kyren's, you know, touchdown upside. They're probably going to be much more likely to run it if they do get, you know, inside the 5-yard line, but maybe it's tougher for them to get there this week against, you know, a really good Seahawks defense and without, you know, one of their top pass catchers. So there's also a chance that they get down to the 5-yard line, and that's when Corum's in the game and he vultures Kyren. So it's just a much tougher spot to trust Kyren as like, you know, an RB1 like we have for most of the season. So I think you still have to play him if you have him, but certainly, you know, lower expectations just based on this matchup and the fact that Corum is eating into his workload so much. So yeah, I view him still as, you know, a start, but more of a low end RB2 than usual this week.
Famous last words, fading Kyren. I'm never doing it again.
If you have Kyren, you are playing him. But I mean, come on. This is a tough week to rank him as an RB1. Now it is going to be raining, right? Like the early forecast is it's raining. Doesn't Stafford always suck in the rain? Am I getting him mixed up with somebody else?
It's him, Goff, a few of those guys. But yeah, Stafford just weather periods, not ideal for him, but it's just going to be raining Kyren fantasy points. I feel like that's the case.
I would not be shocked. Again, I think you have to play him if you have him. And, you know, Corum, I think, you know, he's the tough one, right? Because he's like, he's legit on the RB3 flex cusp. I think, again, with Corum, I think I'm eyeing next week as he could be, you know, an RB2 flex, even if Kyren's healthy. But yeah, I think this week you got to roll with Kyren, and Corum is the guy that, you know, you're probably sitting in most formats, but certainly a much tougher matchup this week against the Seahawks.
Yeah, definitely. It could be a lower scoring game. I mean, second division game. It was low scoring in the first one. It was like 21-19 walk-off field goal. I think they missed. The Seahawks missed, I think.
Yeah.
I'm on Chuba this week. He's ECR's RB35 against Tampa. It's been kind of tough to project. I thought he would, you know, kind of take more of a hold of that starting job last week, but they went back to Dowdle. And Tampa Bay, I mean, it's hard. They're a defense that's hard to project because they usually pop as like one of the better run defenses, but they've been a little shaky too. So it could go either way, but I don't think you could trust Chuba right now as a number 2 running back for the Panthers. Not a high team total going up against the Bucks, who usually have a pretty stout run D. They're pissed off too. Like they're Todd Bowles was usually just like quiet, not really saying much in the media. I mean, he just went into them after they blew the lead, so they'll probably come out jacked up. So yeah, I don't think it's a great spot for Chuba here. I would still rather roll the dice with like a Corum or somebody like that for upside in this range. Even Jordan Mason, you know, going against a bad run D, you know, like that. Those are the kind of guys I want. this matchup, I think it's going to lend itself more to like the passing game, and then you have Dowdle back in as that RB1. So yeah, low on Chuba this week.
Yeah, the Bucks, they were without Servassier Dennis and Tyke Smith last week.
Yeah,
those are like two key defenders in run defense. Obviously Vita Vea, but he's healthy. Like based on their availability is kind of how I'm kind of projecting their run defense, because like you said, they can be one of the top in the league, but they were just missing two key players last week, which hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, they've been so banged up all year that there's been games where they go into them healthy and then they still get ran over, so it hasn't been as consistent. But I don't want to take chances in the week 16. I don't think.
Right.
All right. Let's see. Running back prop. I guess we got to go Kyren versus Corum. Like that's just everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, I have to.
We'll keep it simple and go rushing yards since neither of them are usually a factor in the passing game. Can depend on the week, but let's see. Last week, what was it? Kyren had 78 and Corum had 71. Wow. All right, I'm gonna make Kyren a 14.5 yard favorite.
Damn, I have it like 15. And here's the thing, like obviously I'm a big Corum guy, but I was originally a Kyren. I think Kyren's still one of the better running backs in the league. Remember the game we were at Thursday Night Football against the Raiders, and I was screaming at McVay for playing Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown, 300-pound Malcolm Brown. No, it was Malcolm
Brown. It was Malcolm Brown. Yeah.
Over Kyren. Yeah. I mean, come on. So, I have no issue with Kyren still being the lead back. But yeah, that's a good line. Man, I'm going to take the yards here. I'm going to take the 14.5, but that's right where I have it.
You're gonna take Corum?
Yeah, I'm going to take Corum. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I'm trying to think of it like about 3 carries better, like in a practical sense. But like, yeah, Corum has the thing with Corum is if he's in the game, there's a bigger chance for like a blowout, which means like he could get like more explosive runs against the defense that doesn't care later in the game. But he could also get stuffed because they know it's a run. But that never really happens to the Rams. Like they never seem to get stuffed.
Yeah, and Kyren's typically still. I mean, it's just kind of random. They just kind of rotate drive by drive, right? So I still think Kyren's more likely to be in goal line situations. So he typically has less yards in front of him when he gets a carry. So that's kind of my logic behind it. If you look at success rate, I think they're both like top 2 right now in the league, which is insane.
Yeah. Their blocking scheme within that 1-3 personnel is ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, they don't get stuffed. They're like, and then Puka is like what you would say like top 5 receiver blocker in the league. Like so, it's like anytime they got any passing formation, they are still like one of the best run blocking teams. Which is crazy.
Yeah, so I mean they're just both really good. And I agree. I think Kyren should be the clear big favorite here. But I'll take Corum here. Do you have any opinions on like the side? I saw Stuckey locked in the Seahawks. Like it could be a potential rare trailing game script for the Rams this week.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear Stuckey's perspective on that. Like I haven't looked at it too much yet, but the thing with me about the Seahawks is they've been trending down. So I got to go back and watch the film a little closer. Like it doesn't seem like for the past month and a half, like Darnold just hasn't been as dominant. I think they had that one game against the Falcons, but really it's been kind of a struggle for them. So I'm wondering if maybe, I'm on alert with them because I'm like, this is Sam Darnold against, like the Shula who shut him down last year. It's Sam Darnold who had a meltdown last year. So yeah, I'm interested. Stuckey usually has a good perspective on these like bounce back type of spots. So he's probably on the right side, but yeah, I'm not there yet. I have to, I got to go back and see more what they're doing with Darnold.
They've been doing some interesting things like after Greg Olsen kind of outed them, saying like, don't match their heavy personnel with like run defense. Yeah,
that should have been obvious though.
And then now they've been like, they were extreme run heavy. And now they've been 4 straight games now with the pass rate over expected, above average. And they made Robbie Oots a healthy scratch.
Saw that.
They're using and Elijah Arroyo's on IR, so they were using Rashid Shaheed way more. So they're more of like a pass first offense. But yeah, they've been making subtle tweaks where they kind of change their identity. And Sam Darnold's kind of struggling at the worst possible time. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a fascinating Thursday night matchup.
Yeah, it's Anderson Thursday. Yeah, that's really interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not there with Darnold yet. I got to go see what's going on with him because I agree. I think it's probably that those heavy formations, their teams are starting to get onto those because that was, I mean, it should have been obvious, but Olsen really put it out there. He's like, yeah, just match them down in distance, guys. Like you don't need to just bring like linebackers on the field
exactly
on like 3rd and long.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, very true. All right, wide receivers, top 5, week 16.
I got Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra, JSN, Jamar Chase, and CeeDee Lamb.
Yep, I got JSN still obligatory number 1. Not moving off that yet. Puka number 2, Chase 3. Assuming Higgins is back, which is not a guarantee. That could flip flop, although Adams probably out, so maybe Nicole will stay number 2 regardless. And then Amon-Ra, just a monster, and CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, same, pretty much same, just a little different order. All right, who we like for receiver week 16? We high on?
Yeah, so I'm high on Juwan Jennings because it sounds like Ricky Pearsall could miss this week. Re-aggravated.
Ricky Pearsall? Who?
Yeah.
Huh? Who has he played this season? Ricky Pearsall?
Oh,
you sure he's Ricky Pearsall? Who's that guy? Where's he been at?
Did he score last week? I mean, he came back, right? Hasn't been healthy, and then he re-aggravated that PCL injury. Yeah. 6 catches, 96 yards last week. Thank you very much. Yeah. But he got hurt. And
of course he got hurt.
Your guy, Brandon Ayuk, that was being drafted, wide receiver 41, was officially shut down. So Jennings is heading into the fantasy playoffs like at his ceiling projection, and coming off a 2-touchdown game himself. He now has 6 touchdowns in 6 games. He was dealing with injuries earlier in the season. So he's peaking at the best possible time. He opens the week as my wide receiver 18. I think he is a mid-range wide receiver 2 must start heading into the playoffs. Now they're at Indy, and Sauce Gardner's questionable. I have no clue if he's going to return this week. If he returns and he's 100%, maybe we bump down Jennings a little bit, but I'm not worried about that too much with my Tuesday morning initial projections. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But either way, if you've had Jennings on your team, maybe you haven't been starting him over the past 2 weeks, but I think this week we might be able to trust him. So yeah, he's my wide receiver 18 to open the week.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a non-contact injury that he suffered, right?
I thought, I was worried it was Achilles, it's his calf, but it's one of those things where if they do rush him back, gotta be like very high risk to re-aggravate it. And I'd be worried about what's that?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'd just be worried that he would suffer a more significant injury if they rush him back, but
I was gonna.
Yeah, even if he returns, he might not be 100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like the most predictable injury in sports. Is like a guy with the calf injury who comes back too soon, and then tears his Achilles or something like that. Like,
is that
and Jennings is like one of the most physical receivers. What's up?
Is that what happened with Halliburton? I remember, wasn't he playing through a calf injury?
It happened with KD. It happened with Halliburton. It's happened just a ton across both sports. Like, really, it's that. And then Jennings is super physical, so I don't know if I'd worry about him even in him. Like, that might be advantage Jennings if Gardner's going to try to cover him. So I think it's a good spot for Jennings. I'm high on, assuming he's good to go because he did leave the game with an injury, but Luther Burden would be in a good spot against Green Bay. He's the ECR wide receiver 34. I think he would be a borderline top 25 option. Looks great on film. Now, again, you got to pay attention to the injury, so this could go down midweek for me. But as of now, like Luther Burden, 84 yards, and I think you mentioned just a little over a half against the Browns. Pretty good defense, all things considered. Cold weather game, so now you're going up against Green Bay, similar situation, but more zones. Easier for Burden to get open. I think in some spots. So like him assuming he's good to go health wise.
Yeah, what are your I think it was that 14-yard catch where he just made like a great move to juke the cornerback, but like how hard are you long term? I keep trying to come up with a comp for him. He's like a blend of like Amon-Ra, JSN, and like Rashee Rice. He's just like he has so much upside, but he was buried on the depth chart. So I think a lot of people are overlooking him, but I think he could be a stud. Maybe next year.
Maybe I think he could, like his ceiling is probably something like Amon-Ra. His floor is probably something like Xavier Worthy, I would say, where it's just like hard to predict week to week. Like he could disappear, and if there was like let's say a Dunze comes back next year and he's like fully fleshed out into a wide receiver, alpha kind of wide receiver, and like they either upgrade DJ Moore, like DJ Moore comes back as like the old DJ Moore, like he could be like a Worthy guy, but upside wise, I think Amon-Ra would probably be a quicker Amon-Ra though. Like Amon-Ra's fast, but I think he's like an overall good receiver in my opinion. Like he just routes everything. Burden has like some of that true speed. So yeah. But like, so I think, matter of fact, remember Xavier Worthy during the playoff run for the Chiefs last year, where everyone was out and he was getting like those like 5 catches a game at least, and then like goal line carries and like goal line targets, like inside end zone targets, like that I think that's like Burden's like upside.
Agree.
All right, who are we low on? Looks like another rookie low on this time.
I'm low on Emeka Ibuka, who again, he's my wide receiver 24, so you're probably starting him if you have him, but he's fallen off a bit of late, and it's one of those things. We were just talking about Luther Burden, where he was buried on the depth chart to start, even though he does have a ton of upside. And Ibuka might be the top wide receiver from this year's class. And he landed on a team where they had 2 veteran receivers, and Godwin and Mike Evans, but they both missed, a handful of games now at the same time. So he had, just a ceiling outcome right off the rip. So he was, a wide receiver 1 in our ranks there for, several weeks. But now, Godwin's back, looks like he's healthy enough. Evans is back, and he looked great last week. And even Jalen McMillan was fully healthy last week. I was shocked. He had a 50% routes run rate. I know you had him much higher than me. So 50% routes run rate for McMillan. They still mixed in Tez a little bit. So Ibuka's routes run rate was 63%, which was much lower than we've seen. And he still managed, 4 catch, 64-yard game because he is a very talented rookie, but his floor is much lower right now. And even Cade Otton might return. So, just Ibuka's closer to where I projected him heading into the season, like a very good, low end wide receiver too. But we just have to remember that he was operating at like peak usage there for a month or two, right? So, I'm a little bit lower on him this week, but still, he's still probably startable as my wide receiver 24. But just a good reminder that these rookies, it's, a mixture of talent and situation. And he was just operating closer to his ceiling early on. And now he's going to be closer to his floor, which is still very, very good. But it's going to be tougher to produce with, lower playing time. And it's going to be tougher to command targets with both, Godwin, Evans, and even McMillan there. So this week, just I'm much lower on him than I usually am.
Where do you have Godwin? Just curious. Compared to
out of the 3, I mean, I still have Buka the top. He's my wide receiver 24. Then I have Evans, wide receiver 26, and then Godwin, wide receiver 34. So yeah, Godwin's still on that fringe wide receiver 3-4. Where do you have him?
I have Godwin the lowest, like borderline, but funny. Evans, I do have a little higher, not as high as consensus. So if you ranked Evans there, you'd be like minus 20 on consensus. He's the wide receiver 8.
Really? He's wide receiver 8.
He's wide receiver 8.
I was like plus 10 on ECR last week. Everybody was like, "Wow, you have Evans wide receiver 26. That's bold." I'm like, "What?" It's Mike Evans. Like, where are we supposed to rank him?
Yeah, I
And
think
he's
Godwin.
still
I think Godwin's the most concerning, right? Like, would you say?
yeah.
Because
Godwin,
he needed the most routes to do. Like, he saved himself with a touchdown, essentially.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Godwin's probably the yeah. If we want to go true like lowest, it's Godwin. He'd be very hard to trust this week because he has to compete against Mike Evans now and Emeka Ibuka, who I'm still high on as a talent. But I think just big picture, it's just a lesson of these wide receivers as rookies. You know that they all have different talent levels, obviously, but they're all in different situations, and that can change kind of how we perceive them. And I'll address that with Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland. Same thing where everybody kind of pivoted like Warren is way better than Loveland. That's not true. They're both very similar in talent. They just had completely different situations to start their career. So I think it just kind of shifts how people perceive them, just based on their first few games as a rookie. And I think that's where people can kind of get in trouble.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a long season. I mean, guys who started off good are kind of coming back down to earth. It's a very long season. That's a good point. I'm low on Terry McLaurin. I'm just gonna take the reins from you. Week too early, I think maybe, and go. I think you were low on him last week. I'm not sure, but against Philly, want no parts. Against the Giants, fine. He wasn't running as many routes as we expected coming into that game. Did end up again just breaking the Giants' ankles, I think, in this one, because he caught a pass. I want to say he was like 15, 20 yards out from the goal line and ended up getting in. So that's not going to happen every game, especially against Philly. Marcus Mariota didn't do much last week. We saw what Philly did to Pickett. I mean, just absolutely nothing for them. So this defense is going to step up. And even with Zach Ertz out, I'm still not on any commander receiver against the Eagles. So McLaurin is still the wide receiver 20 in ECR. I'm guessing that's a carryover from last week.
Yeah, it has to be.
But I think he's more of a wide receiver 3, just because he's their wide receiver 1, but not too excited about him this week. All right, what are we doing? Prop.
So I don't think we've touched on this yet, but Patrick Mahomes is done. Torn ACL, so it's going to be Gardner Minshew under center. So I have Xavier Worthy way down in my ranks, but let's do Rashee Rice receiving yards and just your thoughts on him. I think we can still trust him as a starter, but like where you have him ranked. But I'm going to set his receiving yards prop at 56.5.
I'm going to go under. I think they could be in trouble. I mean, this is still a game they could win, and so they could be, like a good game script. But Rice is he's like not a complete receiver. He's more of like a underneath kind of guy you get the ball to in space. So like now with Minshew, like who knows what the game plan is? Like, is he gonna chuck it more? Is he gonna are they gonna scheme up more for Worthy? Like, and they're kind of out of it. They're out of it essentially at this point. They're done for the playoffs. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, do they even give Rice that? Because they've always been careful with his playing time too, right? Like he's only hit that like 90 plus a couple times. I remember we were talking about that earlier when he first came back. So yeah, just too many kind of red flags with Rice. I could see him just like disappearing from the game plan altogether too. So yeah, I'm gonna go under.
Man, I was afraid you'd take the under there. Where do you have him ranked?
Like wide receiver 24. Yeah,
man. So I
can't trust them.
People, sacrificed first 6 games to have him for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah.
And now that we get to the playoffs, he's still, he's still a wide receiver too, but still just not the smash play we were hoping for. And like with the season done, like why even risk someone like him to, suffer a season-ending injury that kind of, limits him next year? Like you might see someone like Jalen Royals get playing time down the stretch, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. They have Vermilio that never gets snaps on receiver. They could use him. They have like 7 receivers they could play. They have this could be a big tight end game, because it's the Titans. There's just a lot of outcomes that, and then there's like Worthy's been quiet. Maybe they just try to get guys numbers. Worthy's been quiet this year. I don't know. It's just there's too many. Like the Chiefs are always hard to trust. Like Rice was kind of an outlier in that he was super consistent most of the year, but that was with Mahomes. So yeah.
All right. Well, Now I feel really bad about my prop. If a sports book opens his prop at 56.5,
Yeah, I'll take the under. Yeah,
is that
text me or
like
something.
okay? It's one of those
Yes,
things because
yes.
people.
I'm usually not ready to bet receiving props in like Wednesday, but yeah, if that's gonna be that, yeah,
No,
I would honestly.
I always tell people I'm like Raybon and I are way too busy to like sit there scanning the opening market. I typically wait because it's lower limits when they open
Yeah,
it.
right.
You know, I'm busy with Thursday Night Football, but usually the Discord knows the players we talk about on here. So yeah, definitely Discord, or if you're on Twitter, tag us if Rice's prop is up and let's say it's 60.5 or something. Definitely let us know. We might be interested in taking the under on that immediately.
Yeah, because I mean, essentially he averages like under 11 yards a catch, so like 5 catches still doesn't technically get him there, right? Like it's especially with Minshew. So anytime you're looking at like a guy needing to catch like 6 balls for an eliminated team, like I'm gonna go under.
True.
Unless it's Michael Wilson.
Very true.
Yeah, but I don't know. He's tough to get a feel for. That's a good line. But yeah, I think just the fact that he's not like a true like deep receiver, like most of his stuff is underneath. I don't feel good about the under. Tight end, who you like top 5?
Trey McBride, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, and Harold Fannin Jr. just ahead of Brock Bowers. So that's my top 5.
Yeah, Fannin actually is my number 6. I got McBride, Kittle, Pitts, Bowers, Goddard for now. But could see myself going Fannin. The Bills have been really good against traditional tight ends. Fannin's more of a slot, so it doesn't apply as much. So I might have to adjust the matchup rank a little bit as we go throughout the week. But right now it's Goddard. I like how they're kind of giving him the tush push plays. It's just like, all right, instead we're just gonna throw, and it's gonna be Goddard so that we get hurt some confidence. And he dropped. You see, he dropped one. Should have had three tutties last week.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I finally hit on him on the touchdown show. I keep saying he's due, but he's in a good spot right
now. Okay, who are you high on?
I'm high on Darren Waller. Just coming off a massive 7-catch, 66-yard, 2-touchdown game against the Steelers. Very fortunate to not like have a major injury. He had that catch where his knee and ankle got like twisted up, but he bounced right up. Thank God. I thought that was scary, but now he gets to face the Bengals this week, so he's an instant tight end 1 in my model. Tight end 11. And you kind of hinted on this, but Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely just both bombed against the Bengals last week, but the context matters. The Ravens won easily. What was it, 24-0? Yeah. Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell just both went bonkers, and Flowers was the pass catcher that got the early production. And then I think the Bengals ran. I think they had 15 minutes of possession in the fourth quarter. Like the Ravens offense didn't even get the ball. For some reason, the Bengals just had methodical drive after methodical drive.
Pick 6 too, I think, or something like that, right? It was like,
they had a 15-play, 10-minute drive for some reason down, 2 scores or whatever. And then Burrow threw a pick 6, and then they just had another methodical drive. So it's like the Ravens didn't have the ball. They had a big lead. So where the hell was Andrews and Likely supposed to get their production? So it was just a fluky game where the Bengals defense is now all of a sudden better against tight ends. That's what happens sometimes. So anyways, the Dolphins are -1. The total's 50.5. This could be more of a back and forth shootout. So I think Waller just has a massive ceiling. He opens the week as my tight end 11 with, obviously a ton of upside based on this matchup.
Yeah, is he on the injury report? Is he gonna appear on the injury report? You think?
Who knows? If he does, run and pick up Greg Dulcich. Who might still have a good game even if Waller's healthy. But no, Waller's fine. I think he scored a touchdown after that play too, right?
Okay.
So it's one of those ones where it could have been bad, but he popped right back up. It was just fortunate that he didn't hurt anything there, but it definitely looked scary at the time.
Yeah, I'm always like cautious with Waller just because if they're eliminated, and I remember him saying like he just wanted to retire after he had to throw a block last year or something like that. So I'm like, oh man, I hope he's not like if he doesn't pop up like on the injury report or something like that. But yeah, if he's good to go, this Bengals team, like Joe Burrow is like maybe he just needs T Higgins because without his YPA just keeps sinking.
Yeah.
I'm high on Gadsden again. He's ECR tight end 14. I think last week he was like tight end 20 or something. It was kind of crazy. Like I know the Chargers had some issues, Herbert hand, all that stuff, but Gadsden's still their lead tight end. If anything, the backfield is harder to project now because it's like they're kind of splitting snaps. But I think Gadsden, has the potential to be like a tight end 1 overall. Any week he suits up. Herbert's getting healthier. Quentin Johnson, I guess, is banged up now. We'll see how that progresses as the week goes. But either way, Dallas defense that plays a ton of zone coverage, and you're going to Dallas, so it's not in SoFi, but it's in a similar type of not weatherless environment here. I think we want to go back to Gadsden once again. Who are you low on?
I'm low on Tyler Warren again, unfortunately, who, he opens this week as my tight end 20. Last week I was saying like he's opening as my tight end 17. I have no clue what to expect when it comes to Rivers. Probably still gets a high target share, which was the case. He saw a target on 22% of his routes. He had, I think it was a season high routes run rate, right? 96% routes run rate. So just really good usage. But just based on the lack of passing production, he only had 3 catches for 19 yards. And it was actually Amir Abdullah who really benefited from Rivers.
Random.
5 catches, 32 yards, led the team in receiving, but he was targeted on 83% of Rivers' dropback. So clearly Rivers was just in check down mode. So that's not great. So, what are we doing here? How can you trust Tyler Warren in your fantasy playoffs this week? You can't, right? Where do you have him ranked?
Tight end 17.
Yeah, and you have Gadsden, pushing tight end 1 value, which I agree with.
Yeah, he's like tight end 13. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have Loveland ranked ahead of Warren as well because I'm assuming Odunze's out, which is obviously best case scenario for Loveland. So with that context, so I have Loveland and Gadsden ranked ahead of Warren, who again at the beginning of the year was absolutely a top 5 tight end because he was in an ideal situation. The Colts needed a tight end. He was their only tight end, but now the quarterback situation makes it you can't trust them, and that's just important when it comes to these rookies where the situation is just as important, sometimes if not more important than the talent itself. I still think Warren's going to be a top 5 tight end for years to come, but right now you just cannot trust him. So if Darren Waller, Aronde Gadsden, other guys are available, Colby Parkinson, like all these guys you should be starting over Tyler Warren. And it sucks because he was so good for so long, but it's just almost impossible to trust him in must-win territory now that we're in the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, if you were like you said, when those like mid-round type, like if you drafted like Ingram, Tyler Warren, all in that range, it's like, oof, yeesh. You're definitely looking to stream somebody.
Like Hawkinson was in that range, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Andrews. He kind of disappeared too. Yeah, technically.
Well, that's the full Andrews experience, though. Right when you bench him, he's going to score 2 touchdowns. But that's the point. You don't need to spend like any draft capital on these guys. Just every week, there's guys that pop up as top 5 tight. The guy that we've been screaming about all year long, Harold Fannin Jr., top 5 tight end this week.
Yeah. I have him 6, but point taken.
I don't even know why I didn't include him in the rookie rant. Yeah. Harold Fannin Jr., top 5 tight end this week.
I think we talked about him. I think on the waivers pod we were saying that like there's a chance he could end up being like the top rookie tight end still. When like this was back in like the middle of the year. So yeah, we've been on that. Yep. I'm low on Mike Gesicki. I just wanted to kind of touch on him because like he popped up a couple weeks ago, and then everyone's excited about him, and then he comes out and does nothing. And I think he'll I don't think you could trust him, especially if we'll see if T Higgins is back. If T Higgins is back, that really lowers the chance that he can be like that slot receiver type of guy. But even so, I mean, there's just this Bengals offense. It's going to go through Chase, and then there's touchdown wise, it could be any of these tight ends. So I know Gesicki popped a couple weeks ago. He's got a revenge game going, but still tight end 18, which is like, I mean, tight end 18 is still like it's still like Ferguson's like tight end 16, like Henry, Andrews, like there's a lot of these guys in that range that I think you'd start over him. So he should be nowhere near there this week. I think he's just more like low, outside the top 24.
Yeah, Higgins' status obviously impacts him because he's going to get more playing time if Higgins is out. But Noah Fant's also questionable. So if like Higgins and Fant are both out, let's say best case scenario for Gesicki, would you still not have him, inside your top 12?
Because I think he's more of a slot receiver. So it's Higgins probably still impacts him more, but also there's like Sample sometimes gets like 60% routes rate. And then you got Tanner Hudson. They have 5 tight ends active. I think Brandy's is active. So in that situation, I can't bump him too much. I just wouldn't want to rely on him as a starter. As a top 24, like I think there's with all the the good tight ends getting knocked down. Like at that point, I'd probably just take my chances with Tyler Warren. You know what I mean? Like just
right.
There's just too many other guys. But let's see prop. Let's go Mark Andrews versus Tyler Warren. I'll make Andrews a 7.5 yard favorite.
Yeah, the Colts are healthy. Rashad Bateman's status has zero impact probably on my Andrews projection. So that's pretty close. I think that I would say that Warren still has a higher floor. So I think in this situation, I would take the yards. And Andrews obviously has a much better chance to score a touchdown. So that's why I have Andrews ranked, higher. But yeah, for yards, I'll take the yards here. But that's
consensus.
Good
Consensus has Andrews 18, Warren 11. So
wow,
it's really low on Andrew. It's interesting. Yeah.
Again, I think. Well, where do you have Andrews? I don't know where to rank him right now, but
tied in 12. I'm not too low on him. I mean, I might get lower. I don't know.
I have him. 10.
What do you have him?
10. Okay. Just either way, higher than Warren. But again, I think it's just the market is just, Warren good, me rank him high. It's just like, it's way more complicated than that. Like, is he maybe the best rookie tight end? Maybe. Well, I think it's debatable. But
Fannin, maybe. I mean, Fannin making a case.
I think Fannin just low key has been balling out.
Yeah.
And he landed in a weird situation where he had Dave Njoku there, and it hasn't even mattered. So I think Fannin might be the man.
And bad quarterbacks.
Yeah. See, I mean, he's overcome a lot to get to this point. And I still think Loveland might actually be the best tight end, but it's just been so tough with, the depth chart there. But it's like Warren is very talented, but the situation right now is so bad. I can't get there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to do it for our week 16 projection spot here on the Fantasy Flex. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We got our waiver wire episode out already. We'll be back later in the week with our DFS episode. You can check out the Fantasy Labs app for all of our projections, DFS tools, and more. Use code FLEX20 for $20 off. Koerner's on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action app. Be sure to follow Playbook as well on X. Until next time, let's get this money.